If we understand that in any process, consistency is a necessary practice in order to achieve whatever the vision is, then part of this is defining for yourself what is consistency. Okay, welcome back. In our last conversation, I shared with you my creative values. I said that my art is honest, sustainable, and full of emotion. In today's conversation, I want to talk a little bit about what I've learned in the process of living in alignment with my values. I use my values as a way to stay grounded, especially in a process of transforming and reinventing yourself. You need something to keep you grounded, to say like, all right, straight away, let me kind of come back to the vision and the mission, because those are going to be the touch points that I come back to as I figure this thing out. So several things have come up. And so the first one is consistency. When you hear people talk about success and achievement, one of the things that is going to come up across any conversation that you hear is that folks are going to tell you to be consistent. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep showing up. You got to, push through the challenges. Like, you got to be consistent. And what became apparent to me in this process and the differentiation that I had to make was consistency is not about frequency. I had set this goal of bi-weekly, coming to chat with you and check in. And in trying to sustain that inside of all the rest of the stuff that my life has going on, I started to feel this pressure. And when it was the pressure, then what I was creating wasn't honest, because I was trying to put something out according to this schedule as opposed to what feels like the true thing that I want to say. And so what I had to do in my own mind was make the difference between being consistent and being frequent. If I want to be consistent, that means I want every episode to have value. I want to come to this space with some level of clarity. So I am clear enough in my own understanding that when I sit down to talk to you, I can deliver something that is coherent. Because when I say how to reinvent yourself, I really do mean like we are working through the how, the practical steps of how to do this. I created a schedule that I thought I would be able to keep up with. I realized, bi-weekly might be a bit much for you, girl. Given all the things that I have going on, work, right? Building a house in another country, sleep. I like to do that sometimes. So the bi-weekly didn't work for me. And when I let go of that and I redefined consistency, not on frequency, but on value, it allowed me to adjust my timeline. I had an idea, which is often what happens when we go into reinventing ourselves and creating new things. We have an idea, and then you realize when you get into the process and the practice of walking out that idea, the theories that you had about how you would achieve a thing start to be challenged. And this is what we do. We adapt, right? That's part of it. Because I also had to remember, I'm a beginner. I know I keep saying that. I know I keep coming back to that. But that is something I need to remind myself of, because as an athlete, and even as a scholar, as an academic, I've always performed really well. I've always done really well. I'm a fast learner. So I have, some might call it, an irrational expectation of myself to be great at everything immediately. So I have to constantly check myself about that. I had to come back to the original plan and say, does this still make sense? Now that I'm in it, and it's not just an abstract expectation, but I'm in the practice of trying this thing on and being like, it's too tight, too small, doesn't fit, I'm uncomfortable, I don't like this timeline. If we understand that in any process, consistency is a necessary practice in order to achieve whatever the vision is, then part of this is defining for yourself what is consistency. For some people, that is just post every day, every day, every day. Just show up and post and get in the practice of being on the timeline. And maybe that is what is true for you. Whatever your practice is to become whatever it is you see for yourself. Maybe consistency looks like just showing up and giving whatever you have. And that might be what you need. But for me, and for the purpose of what I'm doing here with you, consistency is less about frequency and more about value. In defining consistency in that way, it helped me relieve some of that stress, the pressure of performing at a particular rate, showing up on the timeline all the time. Some of the things that we hear about what it means to blow up as a creative, and coming back to the idea that that's not what this is about for me, right? So being mindful of from whom we receive our insights and checking in to see if their intentions are aligned with ours. Because if their intentions are different, then their insights might not apply, and that is okay, but you got to know that. You got to know that. And so when I'm hearing people say, you got to show up, you got to post every day, that might be their intention, and that insight might be appropriate for them and their journey. But I have to decide for myself, what does consistency look like? When I try to keep up with somebody else's definition of consistency, it compromised one value by not allowing my process to feel sustainable, because now I'm feeling pressure, and that's not the place that I want to create from. And it also challenged my value of creating honest art, because again, now I'm feeling pressure to fulfill a timeline, and what I'm putting out there may not be a truth that I feel ready to share, that I feel is developed enough in my own understanding to be valuable to someone else. If I am creating this space to share with you my journey in a way that helps to support you on your journey, then I don't want to come here with a half-baked idea. And I especially don't want to do that in the name of just staying on the timeline, because I think that's going to make me relevant. I would much rather Lauryn Hill, y'all, which is to say, make one album and let that thing ride, and to this day, it still preaches. I would much rather do that than to Drake you, which is to just drop a bunch of stuff, stay in your face all the time, and not necessarily care about the quality of what I produce, as long as I stay relevant, right? Like, if I'm thinking about the kind of artist I am, it's Lauryn Hill all day, right? If I had to choose between Lauryn Hill and Drake. So, in living in alignment with my values, it required me to reimagine my path to the vision. And I know that's going to happen 1,000 more times. That's just a part of it, right? Like, the only constant is change. That's it. I had to kind of just get really clear about what does it mean to create honest art at a sustainable pace. And inside of that, wrestle with things that challenge my identity and my expectation of being great at something despite being new at it. And that's really what this is. When you are constructing, when you are reinventing yourself, you're literally constructing a new version of you. And that's going to require kind of like drawing out the blueprint and then building out the structure simultaneously. It's happening in, at least for me, it happens in this very parallel process. A second thing that happened inside of this that I want to kind of touch on is I was invited to, I should say, I had a chance to really get clear about what support looks like for me. So since we last spoke, I have crossed the threshold of 100 subscribers on YouTube. So I was chatting with a friend about that, and he was like, "Oh, I'm subscribing, like, I gotta support my girl." And I was like, first of all, you have more than supported me, is what I had to reflect back to my friend. And let me be clear, I understand what he was saying, right? Like, in a world where views are value and clicks are currency, what he was saying is, I'm subscribing to your channel because I know these numbers matter. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. And I'm also grateful for the fact that in that moment, it was an invitation for me to really sit with, like, hold on, let's not reduce your support to clicking a button and subscribing to my channel. While I do appreciate that, I want to also acknowledge that you have sat and listened to me while I brainstorm ideas. You've cheered me on and told me that I could do it when I was doubting myself. You have been available when I had to call and vent about the process, or if I needed to just take a step back from the process and just go live and have fun. You've been there, right? And so wanting to really zoom out, because especially when you're on a new journey and you're vulnerable, we can set the expectation that the people who are closest to us have to show up for us in a very specific way, because that's what we're needing and craving and desiring in that moment, right? And so it's so easy to become tunnel vision on a certain expectation that you have because of what you need, that you can miss an opportunity to appreciate the way that people are showing up and giving what they have to give, because they might not have what it is you need, right? Like, we have these ways in which we might measure support. And a lot of times that stems from what we need, because we're in a vulnerable place and we have this expectation that the people who are closest to us will provide what we need as a demonstration of their love and support for us. And when we can zoom out and really create a comprehensive picture and understanding of what support is, what it looks like, how it shows up, how it feels to us when we're supported, when we can do that, it allows us to find gratitude more easily. And it is from that space that we continue to build our next version of ourselves, from a space of gratitude for the support that we're getting. Even if you acknowledge that there's support that you're still missing, that's fine. But to blame certain people in your life for not being a source of that support isn't fair, right? Like, it's okay to say, I really need this type of support, and I'm not getting that in the way that feels satisfying or gratifying to me right now. Period. End of one thought. Second thought is, but I'm getting this support from these people in these ways, and I'm so grateful for that. Right? And so to say I'm not getting this support and these people are the people that I expect to get that from, and because they're not, they don't support me, isn't fair to you or to the people, because it's not allowing you the space to really be grateful for the support you are getting and to really be graceful with the people that you expect to get certain support from, recognizing that they may not have it to give, and that we don't get to make people responsible for being to us what we need, right? We continue to seek that either within or in other spaces that may be able to provide it more readily. And to be honest about that, to be okay with that, and to not expect that because we have a certain relationship, my support for you or their support for you has to manifest itself in a specific way. Now, if that is something that you desire to happen, doesn't mean you can't ask for it. I'm not saying like, don't expect it. I'm saying it's not fair that if they're not giving it to you, you blame them or you discredit or diminish their support and the way it may show up in other ways. what I had a chance to do was really sit with that, which brought so much gratitude to me, so much warmth to my heart, so much encouragement to keep going, to recognize that there are people who are immediately like, yes, this is speaking to me. I have a responsibility to the gift that I have been given to share. And while my intention might be to capture my journey and share it and hope that it's helpful, how it may land for other people, how it has landed for other people because of what you have reflected back to me about how my words live with you. I don't take that lightly. And the more of you who share that with me, text message, comments, DMs, stopping me in the street. I literally got stopped at the park yesterday by somebody. And wow. So if we're talking about being on this journey of how to reinvent yourself, if step one was clarifying your values or your guideposts, whatever those things might be, the principles by which you live your life to create the vision that you see for yourself, defining those, outlining those, and then once you've had a chance to live those values out, what are you learning? And what are those lessons? And for me, it was about really defining consistency and support. And that's helping me shape the future of these conversations. So I'm grateful that you're here. I hope that you come back. And when you do, I'm looking forward to our next conversation. Okay.